Welcome to Future Flex. I'm Marlia Chofor, your host, and today I'm here with Morgan Hipworth and Poh Yao. If you're interested in a career in hospitality or the creative industries, you're going to want to hear what they have to say. So hey guys, welcome to Future Flex. How are you going?
Hi, Marlia.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. Now, before we get into it, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about what the VCE Vocational Major is. You get to do classroom subjects as well as get practical experience in a vocational industry. And you also get to start working towards a vet certificate, which is really cool to start doing in high school.
Amazing.
That is really cool. I wish I had that in high school.
Yeah? Well, let's get straight into it. I'd love to know more about you guys. So, Poh, do you want to start us off?
Yeah,
What do you do?
Okay, so I do a couple of things. I run my own business. So I'm a small business owner. It's just a little farmer's market stall where it's a bakery essentially. And then I have my art side. So I'm also a painter. So I exhibit and sell my work. And I'm also a judge on MasterChef.
Awesome. What about you, Morgan?
Yeah, similar. I have a few different ventures. The biggest I would say would be my bakery. So it's called Poh and Morgan. We specialize mainly in donuts, but we do a bit of everything in between: cookies, muffins, scrolls. And I also have a restaurant which is called Maven, so a Mediterranean cuisine over in Fitzroy.
Well, I'd love to take it back in time to when you guys were in high school. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience in school?
Yeah. Look, I guess for me, I was lucky in terms of I was able to kind of find my pathway of what I wanted to do at quite an early age. I guess I started cooking when I was 7 and from there it kind of just grew and grew. When I was 13 is when the sort of business really started and I was in year 9. So I guess I kind of, unlike I guess a lot of my peers, I had a direction in which that I knew I wanted to take. So I was lucky enough that I was able to, structure my school around that. I chose a lot of subjects that I thought would be practical. So things like accounting and business management and even vet hospitality. So I think the key things for me was actually choosing subjects that helped what I wanted to do, because it was always a point of trying to stay involved and as much as I could at school, but also keep the business running on the side as well. So I think for me that became easier to be studying things that I enjoyed rather than potentially subjects that I didn't feel were so useful.
That is amazing. I couldn't be more the polar end. I just felt my way there.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So basically for me, I had a really interesting school career. So I was born in Malaysia and then we migrated when I was 9. And when we got to Australia, I don't know what it was. I think because the focus off academic and more on social development and having extracurricular activities and school just became this really joyous thing for me and I really excelled. So I was really academically fantastic till mid-high school, and it was really strange. My brain did a complete switch. So I went from maths and science strong to completely flunking it and then going really hardcore to right side of the brain. So just excelled drama, art, English. So yeah, it was an interesting shift. And the way I picked my subjects was very kind of how I've charted my life, which is very by gut. So I picked my subjects based on what I knew I'd be good at and what I loved to do. And it's just sort of gotten me everywhere. That's how I've always operated.
So different. But there's actually one thing you both talked about, and that was a lot about subjects and business in particular. I'm wondering, is there any specific subjects that you feel like really help to give you a head start in this career that you do now?
For me, I think the biggest one would be accounting, in all honesty, because when you're running a business, you need to be able to pay your bills, number one. And I think that's probably the hardest part. I think so many, the stat is I think 1 in 2 restaurants fail within the first 2 years. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as just, hey, I love to cook, let's open a bakery or a restaurant. All these other things play a key part. And for me, I think you don't need to be an accountant to open a business, but just having a basic understanding of what cash flow looks like or what a P&L looks like is things that have really helped me on a practical level. Because, I think at the end of the day, the cooking you can get by practicing and doing things like that. Whereas accounting, you need to know the way it's done.
Yeah.
Wow. I so know you. It's really amazing because you're so young, and like to have that much direction from such a young age is you're kind of like a prodigy, really. No, seriously.
You're giving me a lot of credit.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. With me, definitely English and drama. Art because I loved it and it gave me confidence. But yeah, it's interesting. I noticed that I was a super shy kid, like painfully shy. And you probably wouldn't know it because of the career path I'm in. I'm super introverted. So I spent a lot of time on my own. And as a kid, I knew that it was a problem. So it was strange. I kind of knew I had to get over it. So I did drama to kind of
force your way.
to sort of get myself out of my shell. And I knew that there was this kind of performer in me, but I was just too shy to let it out. So I signed up for drama classes, like private drama tuition as well. And that really, really helped me so much. And art and English both served as a way for me to express myself as well, because I had so much trouble doing it outwardly, ways that, I could express my ideas. And I think when I'm feeling really floaty and like a bit not sure, that's where I go to ground myself, because I can create something out of nothing. Cooking does that for me as well. So it's like I can get these raw ingredients. I can start with a blank canvas and I can create something really beautiful, and it has this amazing ability to affect other people. So I found those tools very liberating for me, like very and I recognized it at a young age. So I knew that they were things that I needed to have as part of my career. Yeah.
That's so interesting how you both talk about how the creative and the business side both lead to hospitality. Really interesting. Now that I know a bit about your schooling and what you did afterwards, how that led you to your careers and where you are now, and if the transition was difficult or challenging, like what was the transition like?
I think for me, I was lucky enough to sort of go full-time into the business, but I think nothing will prepare you for the instant switch of like, oh, what do you mean 12:30 is not lunchtime? I think that's the hardest thing, which I think speaking about these new programs, it's really cool because you get to slowly make that transition and, maybe a couple of days a week, then you're slowly easing into how it looks. I think that's the hardest thing, especially for me being pretty much my own boss straight away. Becomes a little bit of that imposter syndrome. You're kind of like, why am I choosing this? Like, I feel like just 3 weeks ago, my teacher was telling me this, So I think that's the hardest part is I think that whole first year, I was kind of like finding my feet in terms of how to structure your own day, how to, make things happen without that regiment schedule that every morning you wake up here, you go here, do this, do that, and you're home at 3:30. I think that was the biggest change for me.
Yeah, you know what we have in common? We're self-starters. Yeah. So that's a whole other thing.
And you rely on yourself for motivation.
Yeah.
There's no one else there to say, get up, get out of bed.
That's right.
Get to school.
And that's why you really have to love what you do, because if you don't, there's no one else sort of helping you, You have to be so self-motivated. I want to ask you a question. So you're 15, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's such an insane age to be thinking about a career, but you do have to, because it affects the subjects that you pick in year 11 and year 12, right? How much pressure do you feel with that?
A little bit. Yeah. There is a little bit of pressure. I mean, I'm lucky I do have an idea of what I want to do, similar to Morgan, but I also want to keep my options open.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line between picking subjects that are going to help me to where I want to go, but also keep my doors open in case by the time I get to year 12, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of pressure, but I think learning and talking to people like you and learning about lots of different people's experiences and their little tips of advice do help take the pressure off, I feel.
And I think that's one of the cool things about, like, for example, when I was to do vet hospitality, it's because it's so hands-on, you get to kind of test out your idea of the field. If I was to do vet hospo for 2 years and at the end of the day walk away being like, I really didn't like that, it's probably not a good idea for me to go full-time into a hospo career.
Exactly.
So I think being able to think about a career is one thing, but then actually doing it hands-on, you got to love it. And, if you walk away unsure, then maybe leave your options open and think about some other things. But I think that's what's so cool is being able to try it before you make the dive.
Exactly. And that's what the VCE Vocational Major
Yeah.
does. You know, you get to not only get the practical experience, but also learn the work-related skills. And then
Exactly.
if it's not really your thing, at least you know then and there. Or it could set you up for an early
Exactly.
start.
Yeah.
No harm, no fail. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just always know that you're going to keep changing as a human being. You're going to, and you're going to have so many life experiences. You might travel, you might meet some, I don't know,
Yeah.
so many things will change your life circumstance. And it's great. It's exciting. Like, it's nothing to fear to change your mind. And what's great about like being able to test out like with this program, to be able to experience a day in that career, or I'm not sure how it works, but it's also really great because so much of life is about figuring what you want by experiencing what you don't like.
Absolutely.
Right, that's what it is. And I think so many people think you can just go straight to the point, and that's not how life works. And it's not bad. It's really great, because along the way is when all the character building happens and you learn more about yourself, and that's how how your decisions are informed.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is really great advice, I think, in general for young people. And while we're going on this advice path, do you have any specific advice you would give to a young person that wants to go into the career of hospitality?
I've always grown up with a little bit of a saying in the back of my head, which is, if you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I think that's super key in any field, but I think hospitality is even more true, because hospo is hard work, especially in kitchens and running businesses. You have, and you got to have a reason. For me, I love the way food brings people together. I love nothing more than looking at the full restaurant and seeing people laughing. And, you know, it blows my mind that, I don't know, say we have 40 different tables at any one time. Every single person and group on those tables are all having a little bit of a different experience with their own group. But the all thing they're sharing in common is they're enjoying our food.
I love this question, especially with regard to careers. I think the main thing is you don't have to decide exactly what you want to do at this point. I think the most important thing is to be curious and work hard at discovering rather than actually knowing what you want to do for a career. So do lots of work experience. This program is amazing. Wish I had it when I was at school. And yeah, it's just about just keeping really curious and open-minded and working hard at getting that knowledge for like what your strengths are, what you like, what you don't like. So just be focused on that rather than having an end state. Do you know what I mean?
And there's no better time to do that in high school, because you can pick your electives, and with the VCE Vocational Major, you can even pick electives that you can get practical experience in, which is even more helpful. So that's really great advice.
Yeah, don't panic. I think that's the main thing, because I remember feeling at your age just so panicked, having to make this such serious life decision, and it felt like everything rested on my decision, like the subjects that I was going to pick in year 11 and 12, and all I did was just pick subjects that I'd be really good at and that I loved, because I knew that was the only way I was going to survive.
I'd love to know, we've talked about like hard work. I want to know, is there any specific superpower that you think someone needs to succeed in the industry?
I think the hard is backing yourself as well. You know, being able to have that confidence in yourself. And, you know, mentioned before about the imposter syndrome, but I think I always use, I don't know, this little example of, I feel like when I was a kid, you always have that moment of like, oh, when am I going to feel like an adult? You always think, all right, it's going to be when I'm 18 and I've got my license, I'm going to feel like an adult. You know, I'm 24, I'm still waiting for that moment to come where I feel like an adult. You know, talk to my grandpa who's 92 and he says he's still waiting for the moment he's going to feel like an adult. I think that's where you got to remind yourself that, you know, have some confidence in yourself, and there's never going to be a moment where it's like, hey, I know what's going to happen. I know how to do this. This is all going to work perfectly. You know, you're going to feel like yourself. And as Poh said, get to know yourself, know what works best for you, know what doesn't. But at the end of the day, back yourself, because no one else will if you don't.
I think resilience is definitely a big, big one, especially if you want to be a self-starter. I always say, I've got this thing I call the cookie cutter principle. And so like if you get like a gingerbread man cutter and you cut it on a piece of pastry, right, and you take the piece that you've cut out and you put them next to each other, like the part that is the positive outline of the gingerbread man and the negative outline, they're both define you. So I think like you have to expect the trip ups, because, and I've mentioned it before, they definitely teach you so much more than when you have the successes. those sobering moments when you mess up are very good for introspection, and they teach you so much more. I tend to be a bit, not as I feel like
Grounded sort of
yeah,
thing.
as grounded.
I think you get complacent, don't you?
Yeah, you
Sort
do.
of,
So I think like there's just so much focus on like being happy and successful that people don't understand. It's all part of the journey. Like you can't have one without the other.
And I think as soon as you get complacent, though, it pulls you back down to
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
The
That's
next
right.
moment.
Yeah. And I always tell people like life is about the climb. When you don't have the climb and you don't have that resistance, that's when you free fall. Like you have to have something that you're aspiring to. And when you get there, you have to find something else to aspire to, because it's like, I think that is a basic human need.
That's just so insightful.
Yeah.
Wow, so much goodness just there. I've got one more question. Okay, this is just a bit of a fun one. Take a look around at this really cool room we're in.
Yeah.
I want you to pick your favourite decoration and tell me why you like it.
I really love the yellow macaw vase. Is that what it is?
Toucan,
Is it a toucan?
maybe?
No, I think it's a macaw.
Whatever it is.
I would probably drink out of that, actually. It's very cute and it's very me. Like I love quirky things that are animal shaped.
Bit retro.
Yeah, retro. Yeah, I have a lot of this kind of stuff in my house. So yeah, I feel very at home.
For me, it's probably either the ingredient bins with the chickens on them, the sugar and the flour, or the little stand mixer down the bottom, because I think it sort of reminds me of some of my earliest times, not necessarily even cooking, but seeing cooking being done.
Yeah.
You know, I remember some of my first memories was like my great grandmother's house, and she'd always make a cinnamon tea cake, you know, and it was always done in a mixer like that one down the bottom.
It's so tiny.
Yeah. Wouldn't even make, I don't know, one batch now. But yeah, I think it's that nostalgic moments, which for me is why food is so insightful, because you can taste something and be transported to so many different places.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. I've
pleasure.
just learnt so much about your careers and hospitality. And if you want to learn more about hospitality or the creative industries, search VCE VM. Thank you so much for joining us.